नेक्स्ट हमारे स्पीकर हैं डॉक्टर अहंतम होमन सिंह जी। मैं सम्मान के साथ आपको आमंत्रित करता हूं और हमें हमारे ज्ञान के संवर्धन के लिए आप आए और अपने विचार प्रकट करें। थैंक यू।
Namaskar and a very good morning to all of you. First of all, I would like to thank KJ Somaiya Institute of Dharma Studies for giving me this opportunity to share some of my thoughts on the Ramkatha tradition of Manipur. And I think in some way or the other, it is actually the blessings of Lord Rama that we all are able to assemble here and be part of this cosmic Leela. So with that, I will start my paper. My paper is fine. Thank you. It's a little descriptive, and unlike my previous presentation, which is like more technical, so it's a little descriptive, but I will try to kind of make you aware of the kind of the Ramkatha tradition that we have in Manipur. Okay, so I just like to give you kind of a big background about. Okay, am I audible now? Yes. Sorry. So about the kind of say backdrop to how this Ramkatha tradition came to Manipur. So like it's a big lesson about Manipur and Vaishnavism. So see, like we do have a pre-Vaishnavite Manipur, like phase. Like even now, there are still people who are following a certain kind of indigenous faith. But if you look into it, like the initial encounters with Hinduism or like with Vaishnavism came around, like say around the 16th century onwards, like with King Kiamba, like when he had an interaction with one of the kings from Awa or Pong, we call it, like the Burma, like the province, and then we have another king like Khagemba, who kind of initiated some kind of activity regarding to Vishnu worship in Manipur. So it was basically the interaction with the Bhakti movement started with what you call the Bamons, we call it. They are Brahmins basically who migrated into this kingdom around the 17th century. So, and it is said that, in the many cases that the Brahmins were accommodated by the kings and took part in many administrative and other political functionings of the kingdom. And indeed, it was a time when the king of Manipur, like themselves, they tried to kind of name them as like with their local names. But later, from the 17th century onward, we see that it's a trend when they put Maharaja in front of their name, and some of them had converted their name to like say Pamhaiba became Garib Niwas, basically. So it was around that time, and it is said that it is based on the politics and the governance that were needed in the light of what you call territorial expansion. So kind of political and consolidation of kingdom during the 17th century. And we have a kind of what we call this confrontation with the Awa, we call it the Burmese, who are kind of, probably kind of the more about Buddhist kind of, affiliation. So there were certain confrontations about it. So anyway, like the first instance was this King Sararongwa, who got converted into Hindu faith, and he was a personal kind of, choice, and he did not restrict this kind of conversion to any, of his subjects. But it was during King Pamhaiba who later converted and got his name changed to Maharaj Garib Niwas. So it is not Iningtho Pamhaiba, but Maharaj Garib Niwas, who proclaimed a decree that Ramanadi or Ramandi would be the official religion, and forcefully converted some of the citizens. And there is like, in Jaitharol Kumbhaba, which is a Royal Chronicle of Manipur, it is mentioned there regarding like how they have been forcefully. But nonetheless, he also kind of started installing, say, the idols of Ram, Sita and Lakshman in this temple, which is still there in Ramji Prabhu near Nitempukri. And then they also like stories about the Hanuman, idol of Hanuman at Mahabali temple in Imphal is also one such instance. So encouraged by his royal scholars and the courtiers to carry out translations, adaptation of the epics, Puranas, and other works related to Hinduism. And this is probably the first interaction with Ramkatha in Manipur. It may be taken as the first instance. So technically around that point of time, there were two sets of written texts which were already like in circulation in the kingdom of Manipur. That is like Git Govinda of Jaydev as well as Bhagavad Gita of in Sanskrit. And along with it, there were translated or adapted texts from the Mahabharata and Ramayana also. However, these written texts are available within the small circle of scholars. So under the patronage of the kings. And as it was what we say, costly affair and beyond the reach of the common folk. And it has also been institutionalized. That means the Pandit Loisang, like who, along with maintaining the royal chronicles, was in charge of looking up the scribes and other literary compositions and the scholars at that point of time. So the along with it, the common people or the subject also received their share of this literary quota through, oral renderings. And this is where orality became an important mode of literary transmission and the propagation of the religion vis-a-vis performing traditions. So we have narrative arts like Wari Liba, then lyric hypertiva, then we have also sung traditions like Khongjom Parva, Pena Isai, North Sankirtan, etc. And also we have started performing traditions like Ras Lila, Gorilla, at all. So that means it became a media for transactions as well as transmitting of literary tradition and the propagation of Vaishnavism in Manipur. So coming to Ramkatha tradition, like it is said, as I already said, that like the entry of Ramkatha tradition in Manipuri society is connected with certain specific religious and political events. So it was during the reign of King Garib Niwas, even though Ramaldi was made the official religion of the kingdom, there was a strong resistance from the followers of the native religion, Sanamheja. So probably he felt it necessary to induce the minds of the people with the ideas of Ram Bhakti. And therefore, he kind of ordered his courtiers to make the story of Rama available in the vernacular language for the people of the kingdom. So for some reason, they have taken or initiated translating Kritibasi Ramayana of Bengali into Manipur. So it is said that like Valmiki Ramayana was not unknown to them, but the king preferred Kritibasi Ramayana because according to him, it was written in the language of men and not in the language of gods like the former. It is mentioned in the Adhikavya. So if you look into some of the textual tradition, like I think there are other texts also, but these three texts I think are important. That is the first one, Ariba Manipuri Ramayana, that is all Manipuri Ramayana, which is probably the complete Ramayana. And Bir Bahu Tuba, Ram Longaba are episode from the Ramayana which has been adapted. So I'll just tell you a bit about this Ariba Manipuri Ramayana, the text. Initially, some of the modern Manipuri scholars of the 20th century thought that Ramayana in Manipuri was composed by a court scholar called Angum Gopi during the reign of King Garib Niwas. And Khel Chandra, a renowned literary historian and scholar of Manipur, based on the manuscripts available to him, ascribe authorship to Amon Gopi. However, Mayang Gaurav Chandra, and in between, I am sorry to hear yesterday that he expired 3 days back, and he was a real scholar of Manipuri Ramayana. So I can dedicate my paper presentation to him. Okay, so Mayang Gaurav Chandra, who is an independent art enthusiast and expert in Manipuri manuscript, came upon a Manipuri Ramayana manuscript where it is mentioned in Adi Kavya that King Garib Niwas instructed Khema Singh Selungba to compose the great story. So on the critical evaluation of this manuscript, it is now confirmed and agreed upon that Khema Singh and his associates translated and adapted the Manipuri Ramayana from Kritibasi Ramayana in Bengali during Garib Niwas time around the 18th century AD. So it is not a one-man show. Like actually, this Khema Singh Moramba has been given the liberty to arrange a team of his own to kind of translate or re-render the Kritibasi Ramayana. So he was given what he called the liberty to choose from amongst the betel nut traders. It is Kwa Hairoloi from Bengal and the young Bengali scribes, because there was a lot of contact between Manipur and the erstwhile Bengal during that point of time, in terms of literary, in terms of culture, a lot of things. So accordingly, Khema Singh, choose a couple of these scholars, or not actually scholars, but people who started translating, and around 1729 they started the project. So it is said that the royal stables and the betel trade, they were basically from Bengal, and they must have been familiar with the story and equally comfortable with both the language, that is Manipuri, Bengali, as well as Sanskrit. And they was asked to help in the translation. So if you look into the text, I'm not going into the text, but I'll just give you a brief example from the text, that it follows what you call the usual invocation, other things. But interestingly, apart from the invocation, after prayers to the Lord Vishnu, who in his great environment of the gods had decided to take a garb of a human being and destroy all those evildoers amongst mankind and protect and nourish those who are honest devotees to the Lord. The Lord, in order to fulfill the desires of his worshippers, had manifested himself in 10 incarnations. So he extolled the great consort Sri Lakshmi and all the descendants of Dasarath's sons at Ayodhya. At the same time, he also put or pay his obedience to Lord Sanamahi, which is the part of the belief system of Manipur, or Chingu Taibang Khaiba. According to the Meitei, he is the creator of the god, and the Liglai Phalo, who is actually one who is with wealth. So that means not only the the Hindu gods, but also the native gods were being included in the Adikanda. So, but this text was lost around the Brahmins invasion around 1758, and it was again later by one Sridham Kaisamsa that he again composed it, put it together. So this is the one that we have got it now. But anyway, just the thing is, though the general outline of the Kritibasa Ramayana is written, the writers have taken certain creative liberty to shorten or lengthen certain episodes. And that is actually an attempt to popularize the story. So they have put abundant local names, similes, idioms, and both also use Bengali and Sanskrit. That means what you call the double synonym. For example, say it said you are listening to it. So you say say Karna Taba, Karna Nako, so they have used double synonyms while writing this story. So few select story of this story, and I don't think whether I would be comparing them or not, because I was talking to my friend Rujati about it, whether this will have similarity in other Ramayana or not. So I think we may be able to find more. But here in this particular Ramayana, this Kiskinda Panda, there's a certain the story which is said that after the alliance between the Ram and the Sugriv was agreed upon, Sugriv was apprehensive about Rama's strength, as Bali was known to be very mighty and a strong warrior. So here Ram threw his bow with force that it flew across the ocean, returned back. Thus, what you call it, obliterating Sugriva's doubt about his strength. And then in Sundarakanda also there's an episode of Hanuman eating the fruit. In Manipuri, you call it Toijing Haipum, supposedly a very kind of tasty fruit given by Sita from Asoka Ban after meeting her, that to deliver to Ram and give one to Lakshman and one to Angad and the Sugriva. And this rare food, was very tasty. So Hanuman, being a monkey, he kind of consumed all of them. And he realized that I have consumed all of them. So he said, I cannot go back without empty hands. So he came back, and this is reason for what he called coming back to Ravan's royal garden and the fighting with the demons and subsequently his capture. So this is something that we find in the in this particular Ramayana. And also this particular episode of in the Sundarkand, where the assembly of monkeys, they were actually telling them who wanted to, just jump over to Lanka. So they have used this word called yuthak. I think like this is a unit of measurement that is used in the Manipuri, in all Manipuri traditions, that they were able to jump. Now, as you know, a story in Krishnabasi Ramayana also, like Hanuman has to know his birth story. But here, the interesting part is Jambuman, the wise minister Sugriva, pointed out that only Hanuman can do the feat of jumping to Lanka and back. And in order to do that, he wanted to reveal the true parents of Hanuman, saying that he was the son of Vayu, God, and Anjana. Then Hanuman's mother and Kesari's wife. So now hearing this, Kesari's, was so furious. Then he silenced him for a mortal combat. And Hanuman was able to. And this is actually interesting because this particular episode, when it is narrated through Variliba, the narrator can do a lot of things with this story. So probably I think there is kind of what you call a not limitation to the textual tradition, but some kind of what you call dialogue between textual and the oral tradition might have been taken place in this particular episode. And then I think I will skip this part, Birbahu. I'll just come to another, because this Birbahu Tuba is also an episode from the Ramayana, which is from what you call the fight between Ram and Birbahu, but it has been taken in what you call in a slightly kind of bhakti mode, where kind of it is more about what you call Ram giving salvation to Birbahu. And then we have what you call the Ram Nongava, which is also something about the heavenward journey of Rama, and which is also one of the creative kind of work composed during the reign of Maharaja Bhaigachandra in the late 18th century. Okay, I'll just come to the I'll just come to the oral exposition. I have a couple of say forms in which Ramayana has been told or has been narrated in Manipuri. I just take up this part called from the Variliba. So Variliba basically is a narrative art form of Manipur, and it is believed that it was developed during the reign of King Khagemba, but we do not have that the fact to verify this kind of art. But it is said during the reign of Maharaja Bhaigachandra Singh in the Tekharo Kumbhava that one Zioram Sarma from Tekhao, that is the erstwhile Assam, in the year 1775 introduced the art of narrating story from the Bhagavad Gita, the Epistles of Prabhupada. And from this way onwards, it became a popular medium for which the Vaishnavite texts are translated for the Vaishnavite people in Manipur. So this is something that we see when somebody is narrating the Variliba. So we have this is done specially in mandos and all, and we have the book in front of him, and then certain props in front of him, and he's a single narrator here. Is Sam Kanhai, well-known narrator of Variliba. So here, this is what the kind of the things that you find when you are narrating this story or performing this kind of oral tradition. But here I would say like the place of performance of this narrative art, which is usually the mandap, is also important while locating the specific purpose of the narration of the story of Rama. The sanctity of the narrative art is best reflected in the way in which there is a special asana of or sit reserved for Hanuman. It is the Bhakta of Ram, because it is believed that whenever there is any recitation of Ram, or when there is somebody says the name of Ram, he will be there to listen. So that is the kind of what you call belief that the narrators have there. And it also perform on on certain marriages, and other rites of places of rites in Manipur. And it is also believed that listening to certain episode, probably Lakshman Digvijaya will make an infertile woman conceive. This is kind of something that they believe. Now, coming to it, here, like the kind of rendering is such that they use both the local Meitei, and it changes from time to time, and also some kind of what you call Bengali and the Sanskrit, words in between. So as a technique of articulation, the narrator narrates in direct and indirect form of space, and actually verbally dramatize the story. So his Rama, Ravana, Hanuman, Sita, and Shiva and Parvati donning the exponents of the entire character associated with the Ramayana in the course of the presentation. And then you see, there are certain kind of techniques that is adopted by the narrator. Sorry, like little bloster, clasping it, etc., etc. And then it kind of to get some kind of reaction from the listeners. So very often we can see, elderly ones, shedding tears by listening to the Hanuman's devotion towards Ram. And at times, in plight of Sita, in Ashok, when intimidated by Ravana. So, the significance of Vailiva is that the values and information about these certain customs associated with the Vaishnavism are communicated to the people with ample explanation through this media. So this is one form. And then we have, these are, it's a Guru Shishya Parampara, and, it is still continuing. And then, the learner has to go and, visit multiple gurus, because not all gurus know all the story. So, they have to take specialization course, etc. So now coming to the last point, it is the visual and the performative tradition. I just come to this Sumangila tradition. And then Sumangila, you see, it is a court, like roughly translated courtyard play, has very popular theater for Manipur. Okay, and when we are talking about, when I was doing my research on Ramkatha in the performing tradition in Manipur, we could not find much information about the performance, Ramlila performance as such. And then we happened to meet, a couple of people, and then, this, I'll just name the, come here. Then from there, we get to know that it was done later. And even I talked to many people, and then they said they have seen certain performance, and they were very kind of, by the character of Ram, the one who plays Ram is like a Ram himself. So I think the oral story has already been embedded in the minds of the people that, well, who is Ram? He should be the one who is like such magnificent. So the first performance of Ramlila in Manipur took place around 1952 during the reign of Maharaja Bodhchandra at Raja Dumra Higher Secondary. So Chandra Kondon, he kind of, he played the character of Ram for the first time. And then you have Santi Devi, who played the name, and she is still known as Sita Sabi. It means the one who played the dawn of Sita. So the character of Sita is thus played by a real woman, which is unique with respect to Sumangila performance, because in Sumangila performance, it is a male group, then all the characters are played by male. And it is a female group, then all the characters are female by male. Okay, so it's popular still now. So this, the performer Hanjaman Nanda Kumar, he's a person who kind of, what he called started, or who kind of popularized this performing tradition in Manipur, Sumangila. So I just come to one kind of this certain, small episode of it, or a certain anecdote, which I think about this particular trope. So this particular Ramlila has been run for 3 years till an unfortunate incident struck this group. A person who was playing the role of Hanuman in one of the Ramlila got burned by fire during the play and succumbed to his. It was a popular scene in Lanka then, where Hanuman burns the city of Lanka with the fire instead. The audience always anticipates this arrival of the scene. And it is said that on the day of the performance, the regular actor who was playing the role of Hanuman, that is Guru Aribam Baldev Sharma, could not take part in the play due to some reason. So it was in his place, one Kasinath from Harangui is a place in Manipur, would play the part of Hanuman. It is said that Kasinath was so happy about the role, and still a while before the play, he was preparing the costume of Hanuman with his younger sister. He even told his sister that this role will make him famous. And the director Nandakumar said that Kasinath put petrol in Hanuman's tail instead of kerosene. And as the tail burned, he was engulfed by the flame. And he moved from some time shouting for help. But the audience thought that it was part of the play and they were loving it. They were enjoying the scene. But he ran towards the nearby pond and doused the fire. But by the time, the burn got so that he recovered and later succumbed. Okay, so after that, they decided not to perform any of the performance. And then, see, interestingly, an anecdote came up saying that one of his co-actors, he was so sad about the whole thing. So he kept thinking about it. Then Nandakumar said that after a few months of the accident, one of his co-actors who used to play the role of Lakshman narrated his dream to him. And what is his dream? He saw a person near the Mahabali temple, clad in white dhoti, we call it Faijong, and with proper chandan mark on his forehead as done by the Vaishnavite devotee in Manipur, telling him that how could they miss laying an asan or place for Ram Bhakta Hanuman during the play. So according to Hanjabam Nandakumar, they had unintentionally made a mistake by not keeping the asan for Hanuman, who is believed to be present in all occasions related to Ram. So he felt that it was a mistake of the troupe and discontinued performing the Ram Lila after that. So the devotional element towards Rama and the Rama-related events continues to be part of what you call the belief system of the Manipur till now. Okay, I just come to this last portion, just 2 minutes, and is that fine? Sorry. So now I'll just take this thing like the kind of certain dialogue between the oral and written forms. So as I said before that, with the need for propagation of Ramanji fed to the masses, the popularity of narration and exposition and debate became important. To disseminating the core story of Rama, Sita, Lakshman, the newly converted, along with a set of rituals that will lead to a heightened sense of devotion and dedication, became the need of the hour. So oral transmission, like Wari Liba, became popularized. So it is said that there could be an ongoing dialogue between the written Ramayana of Manipur and the oral recitation of the Ramayana by the Wari Liba performers. So starting from the compilation of the Manipuri Ramayana, that is the Ariba Manipur Ramayana, one can discern certain elements of association with the oral components. So while Khema Singh Selungba was organizing his troupe, he also roped in one Pramanda Nongyai Kumanthemba, who was a court minstrel at that point of time. So it is highly possible that the composition was tuned to the sung pattern followed at that point of time for wider circulation. So, and then the construction of the storyline is also such that it gives scope for the narrator to infuse, divert, lengthen, or foreshorten the story, which could be understood through the discourse on oral oration and the freedom of narrating. So in the context of Manipuri Ramayana, one can notice how the story of the arrival of Hanuman at Lanka after crossing the ocean is expressed in Sundarkanda episode. So in the textual version, the story simply mentions the arrival of Lanka on the source of Lanka in the evening. He coming, but in oral it was made into such a dramatic and a vivid experience. So the narration goes like, the moment Ram Bhakta Hanuman landed on the shore of Lanka, the entire Lanka felt a great tremor, Bhumi Kampa. Such the intensity of the tremor was that several buildings of Lanka collapsed and the king, Ravan, also fell rolling down from his majestic throne onto the ground. But he recovered himself, being a king, and tried to stay calm and composed in the likeness of a great king, sensing that it was an omen because he fall from the throne. He ordered his astrologers in an angry voice to find the cause for the sudden tremor as well as his remedy, because you also have to know the remedy for it. So all the famous astrologers of Lanka hurried to the palace and begin to consult their almanac and among themselves, but they could not give any satisfying answer for the cause of the earthquake. Then they advised Rama to consult Bibhisana, his younger brother, whose hope also happens to be a great astrologer. And then the story goes on. But in their sense, Bibhisana knows that, okay, like Hanumanji has entered Ram. So he was very happy to look forward to meeting Hanuman. Okay, so Now, like I'm not able to do it, but the performer, when he narrates the shaking of the entire Lanka, the toppling of Ravan from the throne, and what moment of Ravana when we lays flat on the ground in front of his entire courtiers are fascinating and melodramatic in nature. And this probably caters to the hasya or humor that's related to the audience. Then the subsequent story involving Vibhishan turned towards a rather soft and devotional mode. Vibhishana, sensing that a bhakta of Ram has come to Lanka and he will be blessed, will have a glimpse of the bhakti in beautiful narrative. Thus, one sees this kind of seemingly rigid textual version is translated into a more flexible and palatable mode of narration, which caters to the taste, need, and desire of the listeners. So it becomes more of direct interaction between the text and the audience through the medium of Variliva narrators. With this, I thank you for listening. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Ahanthem Homen, Dr. Ahanthem Homen Singh. काफी अच्छी तरीके से आपने किस तरह से मणिपुर क्षेत्र में रीजन में राम कथा का प्रचार प्रसार और उनके जो रामलीला का 1952 में जैसे आपने शुरुआत कहा, किस तरह से सामान्य जनों को भगवान श्री राम और उनके चरित्र गान और उनकी विशेषताओं को जानने का मौका मिला। इस तरह से आपने अपने क्षेत्र की विशेष बातें बताई। एक बार की बात है, लंका में हनुमान जी पहुंचते हैं और विभीषण को कुछ उपदेश करते हैं। उन्होंने कहा कि आप अपने कमरे के बाहर राम लिख दीजिए। विभीषण जी ने कहा रावण आएंगे तो वो मुझे, आप समझ रहे हैं क्या करेंगे, तो मैं कैसे लिख सकता हूँ राम। हनुमान जी ने कहा रा से बोल देना रावण, म से बोल देना मंदोदरी, तो तुम्हारा काम चल जाएगा, तुम भक्ति भी करोगे। तो इस तरह से राम लिख करके भी उन्होंने स्पष्टता की और भक्ति के मार्ग में बढ़ा दिया। मित्रों, नॉर्थ ईस्ट ना सिर्फ भगवान श्री राम के कथाओं के लिए परिचित रहा है, तंत्र के क्षेत्र में विशेष उपलब्धियां और महासिद्ध मत्स्येंद्र का भी स्थान रहा है। अभिनव गुप्त ने तंत्रालोक में विशेष बातें बताई हैं इस विषय में कि किस तरह से तंत्र का प्रचार प्रसार हुआ। वो कहते हैं कि अद्वैत तंत्र की परंपरा जो नॉर्थ ईस्ट एरिया में विकसित हुआ था, उसमें श्रीकंठ ने शुरुआत किया था। उसके बाद त्रयंबक हुए, त्रयंबक के बहुत समय बाद महायोगी मत्स्येंद्र हुए, जिन्हें ज्ञान का अर्जन हुआ, मुक्ति की प्राप्ति की। और जैसे उन्होंने कहा हनुमान जी के कुछ आसनों के विशेष चर्चा है, वो आपको मिलेगा। तो बहुत सारे स्टैचूज और वो स्क्रिप्चर्स आपको मत्स्येंद्र महायोगी के वहां असम में मिलेंगे। तंत्र में 3 विशेष स्थान माने जाते हैं और वो हैं पूर्णागिरी, कामरूप और उड्डयन। ये 3 विशेष स्थान माने जाते हैं तंत्र के, बाद में और विकसित हुए। चौथा हे वज तंत्र में एक मिलता है, वो जालंधर पीठ का है, वो बात का है। तो इस तरह से हमारा नॉर्थ ईस्ट बहुत समृद्ध रहा है। थैंक यू।